All right. Good morning, everyone. So, first, before I actually start the proper game, I wanted to just talk about a couple of things that I was sort of thinking about over the last little bit of the playthrough. One is that first section in the sort of Engwithan ruins that you enter. Um, I didn't talk about it at the time, but you do find like a used campsite and a couple of like bodies in it, and a couple of bodies in it. And I assume the implication with the campsite is that it's recently used. So, based on what Kalisha says, I think essentially what you're supposed to assume is that the Glanfathans like found the looting or raiding party that was in the temple, and then when they came out of the temple on the other side, they found your caravan there. And so the natural assumption there is, to assume that this caravan was acting as something like the base of operations for those raiders. Um, the other thing is that I'm pretty sure that the dwarf animancer I was talking about, it's not actually revealed in the text so far that she was, supposed to prevent hollowborn children for Lord Radric. I think I'm like 90% sure that's revealed later in the narrative, but I guess we'll see. Um, the other aspect is that I was previously talking to my partner about his experience playing Fallout New Vegas, which interestingly is was also done by Obsidian, of course, earlier than this game, but still. Um, and specifically Fallout New Vegas in the context of being potentially an anti-colonial narrative, depending on how the player chooses to engage with everything. So, just interesting to note that the studio also made that game, essentially. And then um, the other sort of question that led me to
Sure.
is like, essentially, I'm curious if this game will allow you to disengage yourself or your character from the colonial establishment or the colonial system, or like be an anti-colonialist actor in any way. And if not, like, what does that look like, and how does it like prevent you or not give you the opportunity to do so? Um, anyway, all right. So from what I remember of this game, I think actually most like points of interest are marked with these yellow diamonds, including people with like quests and NPCs to talk to. So we're gonna go to the tree first to talk to the dwarf woman that we saw in our dream. But that's now glowing ominously. There we go. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bough that sangs at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. Reach out for the woman. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out toward the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with a new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing, electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she's staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog. her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
I need to understand what's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
So I'm gonna get around to talking about this more, I guess. But I just want to point out again, like how I referenced earlier, the whole situation with the Watcher and the Watcher abilities and its relation to literary concepts of madness. And she's describing it as like Kaldara, this woman, is describing it as quite literally an altered view of reality, experiencing a different reality that isn't shared by the people around you, but is still very, very real. Um, just interesting note. And then the other part is that this also shares like a lot of like themes with like ideas of like I can't even remember now. Is it called the Mist in the Percy Jackson series? But the idea of like a mortal like seeing beyond the thing that is meant to prevent them from seeing like the stuff that they're not supposed to, and being fundamentally changed and at risk because they have done so, and glimpsed a different part of reality. Um, anyway, what's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, no, not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair, and here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on. And those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either living or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
What did you mean when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties. You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
I think I survived a Biowak. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Cold them. Those days are all behind me, no?
You said souls break apart over time.
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
I want to know something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found? Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord, she is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
Yeah, women and midwives. What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us, the best, inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins, miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear. Of course, dear.
Farewell.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Caldara closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over the noose, and your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. Alof looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you all right? You seemed lost just now. Yes, I'm fine. He folds his arms. That's good to know, but I don't suppose you could tell me what that was all about. I'm a watcher. His arched eyebrows recede into his hood. Well, that is interesting. He gives you a sly grin. And I expect that explains how you survived a Beowulf, hmm? In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about Watchers? Only that they're rare and that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions, as you just demonstrated. Hmm. All right, let's see what we have here. Um,
17 and a half.
The smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with straw-colored hair leaning against a mossy rock wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks you directly in the eye, but the look is not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar smirk.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
I'm sorry?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
What are you talking about?
The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Alof frowns. Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What makes you think I was interested in the dwarf woman? He looks at you a moment, his brow arched. His smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
Impossible. I don't drool half as much. So you're already familiar. Still, you'll have to forgive my curiosity. Round here, we prefer to turn a blind eye to our dead. I've been out of sorts lately. Of course. We all got our bad days when we stand perfectly still and stare at corpses for a while without blinking. He winks. Do you know what a watcher is?
Careful, friend. Best not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
You think you're going to be hanged?
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
Why was her headman hanged? Got involved. Radric sent men down here the other day. Said they had it on good authority someone in town was working with Kolsk, plotting Radric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my headman, he steps up and says it's him. They took him at his word. He sighs and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on the tree. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not for plotting against Radric, then for protecting me. Who's Kolsk? Someone who got tired of all the hangings. He's on the run now, probably will be until they catch him. What does your town have against you?
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Radric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
Alof glances at you and lowers his voice. You can see why I was eager to leave. So, Adair, a saint's war, only one in my lifetime. Fella decides he's the living incarnation of Aethys, overthrows Red Zaris, marches on Deerwood. So he gave him a Deerwooden hello. What's a Deerwooden hello?
We blew him up.
If you're next to be hanged, what are you still doing here? He gives a half smile. Drinking, mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. Just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out here that don't think Widewind's legacy started with Widewind. We could travel together. Where are you headed? Someplace called Cadnua. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
Seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger. And a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
Alof. There's a fine reason if I ever heard one.
All right, then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
Alright, so we officially have our warrior. Or fighter, I don't remember what it's called. So I've heard that typically it's more worth it to go with a dual-wield weapon on a warrior at least, but I don't even know if we have another saber right now, so we'll just leave that alone. Sure. Think, yeah. Basically, there's a tax of opportunity in this game, but it's limited by the number of like engagement slots you have. And without that, they can just go running around. So let's go with that.
Hey,
Hey there.
All right. Let's do it like that. Let's see. So it's the inn. All right.
Sure.
I'd have to change that. Still very, very pink and bright daylight. All right. A dear wooden woman is standing in front of the fireplace, humming a quiet tune to herself, or perhaps to her unborn child, for she is clearly quite pregnant. She turns her head slightly as you enter.
Hail, traveler.
Well, finally, I was starting to think. The woman makes a startled noise when she turns around and sees you. Oh, I'm sorry, I was expecting someone else. She gives you a cautious smile. Can I help you? Um, I just arrived in Gilded Vale. I thought I'd get to know the locals. Were you with one of the caravans? She looks at you hopefully. Master Odema's, by any chance? I was, yes. I'm afraid the rest of the caravan was killed. Afra covers her mouth with a hand, eyes wide with horror. For a few moments she can manage nothing but a strangled, voiceless gasping, her eyes brimming with tears. I knew I told her it was a dangerous path to take. Kalisha was always so certain she could take on any danger. Afra sniffs. Oh, my poor sister. I'm sorry, stranger. I can't believe she's gone. If only I hadn't called her here, if I hadn't written to her, she might still be alive somewhere. Afra's face crumples and a solitary tear slides down her cheek. Why did you send for Kalisha? Afra wipes at her eyes. I'm worried about the baby, about the legacy. I told Kalisha as much as I could, but all I know is that for a long time now, every child born in Gilded Vale has been soulless, empty. It's happened to so many mothers, and Lord Radric, he's exiled all of them, calling it a sign of the gods' disfavor, she sniffs. With my Hathort gone, I don't know how I'd manage if I lost my home, too. I hoped Kalisha could help me. They say Ranga, the old midwife, knows a way to prevent a child being hollow-born, but she moved south to Anslog's Compass 2 seasons ago. The journey's too far for me. I can't make it as I am, but I don't have anyone else now with Kalisha gone. More tears run down her face. Please, can you help me? I'll find Raga for you. I think. I don't know if this is something Lucretia would typically agree to, but she definitely feels some sort of like guilt that Kalisha is dead and she isn't, I think. You will? Oh, God's bless you. Here, I'll give you coin to pay her with. You needn't trouble yourself with that. I think it's a drink she fashions out of, I'm not sure. But it shouldn't be too much of a burden to carry it back. Anslog's compass is what we call the lagoon to the south. You'll have to cross the wilds to get there. That's what keeps me from trying it myself. She clasps her hands together. Thank you again, truly. You'll be saving us both. She sets a hand on her stomach, smiling through her tears.
Welcome.
All right.
Gods keep you.
All right. Okay. So, got a couple more people to visit by the look of it. Oh, wrong person? Yeah, I think that might have been the wrong door. Let's see what Ingrid has to tell us. Oh. This man and woman appear to have been deep in conversation, working at closing two bulging satchels. They move to embrace until the woman notices your approach and pauses, her smile faltering a little.
Well met, friend.
Can we help you? She looks to her companion, brows furrowing with confusion. Do you know this woman, Naunton? I don't believe so. Was there something you wanted, stranger? Well, let's see. You two seem to be in a hurry. Yes, I imagine so, Ingrid laughs. We're packing for a trip, actually. I've been meaning to visit Defiance Bay, and she looks at Naunton. Well, in truth, I think I've had my fill of this town. Naunton reaches to take her hand. It's time for some new scenery, he says. Is there anything you can tell me about Gilded Vale? We'll see if they have. Only that you'll be wanting to be moving on as soon as you can. You'll have seen the tree, I imagine, but the rot goes deeper. If you were looking for work, I'd say you have a better chance of it elsewhere. We're headed for Defiance Bay ourselves. All right. I know that you go to Defiance Bay later in the game, so I wonder. I have to assume you see them there if you talk to them here or something. Okay, let's make a. All right, let's see. I remember this being kind of a pain to use. Uh, hmm. The Samala man is of an impressive build, towering above the countertop. His skin is the dusky blue of the deeper oceans, and his thick arms boast corded muscle. Small ears frame a square-jawed face coated in smeared soot and arcing black tattoos alike. He offers you a broad smile as you approach. Welcome. You're the first new face I've seen in quite a while. What can I do for you? Mm. All right. Okay. Okay, so I think it is just a blacksmith shop. And then I think there's something to do, yep, up in the windmill. Swainer. We know there's more grain in there, Trumbo. We won't settle for scraps while you grow fat on our crops. A muffled shouting emerges from inside the mill. The first of your drunkards comes through that door gets a shot between the eyes. Gods hear me, Swainer, I'll put you down like a dog. Come away for now, lads, but we'll be back, Trumbull, and we'll have fair prices, or by the flame we'll have a reckoning. Oh boy. An elven man stands before you, his relatively stocky build suggesting a life of labor. His face is pale and drawn and his eyes wide. Behind him, a younger man and woman exchanged worried glances. The miller raises a club as you enter. It shakes violently in his grip. Get back if you value your life. Hold on, I'm not here to hurt anyone. The miller hesitates, then lowers the club a fraction. Who are you? Is Swainer roping foreigners into his little crusade now? My name is Lucretia. I've only just arrived in Gilded Vale. Trumbull shakes his head. You've picked a bad time to come visiting. Gilded Vale's had all its shine scraped off. Just a big dung heap now, and Swainer thinks he's king of it. They're all of them mad. Who's Swainer? The dwarf. The one standing out there spreading lies among the villagers. Bastard's been here for decades, and he hasn't gotten any kinder with time. What was all that ruckus outside? Trumbull shakes his head. Where to begin? Swainer's whipping them up into a froth, going on about the grain stores, claims I've hidden away most of it. All I do with the grain is sell it. I can't create it out of thin air, and I can't hand it out for free. I pay the farmers for the crops they bring in, and I sell what comes out of the mill. Most of it goes to the Black Hound on the west side of the town for ale. Swainer and his lot sure don't mind that part. You take a look at the fields on the way into town, the crop's blighted, and most of what I'm getting from the farmers, Trumbull gestures to the sacks and containers, it's gone off, rotten through. I can't pay top prices for blighted wheat, and I've barely got enough good grain to go around. Swainer's howling after things he has no right to. Seems like a pretty clean story for a messy situation. Trumbull frowns. It's not. Look, Swainer's always been a rotten bastard. With stores so limited, maybe I save the good stuff for people who deserve it. Afra, for instance. She's expecting a child. Should I let her starve instead? Do the villagers know about the grain supply? Trumbull looks embarrassed. Some, the innkeeper, for instance. It's better not to worry anyone. I'll be trading for supplies soon enough. If we can just keep things calm until then, we'll be in the clear. The innkeeper. I wouldn't drink the ale, is all I'm saying. I see. I have other questions. I'll be going. Interesting. Also interesting that like it's around like the windmill because like in like feudal European societies or like even like post-feudal, it was pretty common for the person that owned the mill to be much better off, shall we say, than the surrounding villagers because they have monopoly on the processing of the grain. So just kind of a neat thing that that's how they chose to like introduce this story of like tension in the village or this side story, whatever you want to call it. But the inn is all the way down here. Okay. Let's talk to Pasta.
Welcome.
No, you can't. Okay. The innkeeper knows and you can't talk to her about what's going on, even though it's implied that she's using like rotten grain to make her ale. That's a little annoying, actually. Let's see. There's Swainer.
Hail, traveler.
Don't know who you are and don't much care. Keep walking. We're not here to chat with foreigners. Aloth narrows his eyes. Careful. Looks like they're cut from the same cloth as those rowdies who attacked me. He wrinkles his nose. Smells like it, too. I saw you outside the mill. What was all that about? Well, someone fancies themselves a meddler, eh? What's that about? It's about Trumbull thinking he's king of the town on account of he's got the mill to his name. The dwarf's jowls quiver with rage. It's about him barely giving us anything for the wheat we bring him, and then cutting our purses when we need to buy grain. It's about farmers going hungry while some bastard gets rich off their crops. What if I buy you around? Will you talk to me then? Swainer considers it, briefly. He looks to the others. Fair enough. You bring us something to wet our throats, and maybe I'll feel up to trading words. Okay.
Hello.
Fine fellows, you're having me on. Any more fighting and I'll have to ban Swainer from the inn entirely. The innkeeper frowns. Until then, it's 6 copper pieces for the lot. Here you are. Right, then, here. 3 drinks for 3 fools. Just take care with them. They're a hot-headed bunch.
Hello.
Hey, so you have. By the flame, I've never thought I'd be so happy for a mug of the Black Hound's shit beer. Gods, that's good. All right, then, you've got my attention. What is it you've got to say that's worth a round of drinks? Maybe you could tell me more about what's going on. It's like I said, the miller's in charge of the grain prices. He says they're fair, but I know for a fact that folks like Afra pay half what we do, the dwarf sighs. And maybe we've been a bit rough with him. But what are we supposed to do? We can't keep paying. We're going to starve. And do you think Trumbull's going to be sorry about it when we do? Look, there's no sense in threatening the miller. You have him up against a wall. Maybe you could ask some of the other villagers for help. Swainer eyes you for a few long moments, drinking deep from his mug. Then he sighs. You're right. Things go on like they are, and we're just going to end up hanging from that tree up there. He looks to his comrades. Tell Trumbull we'll leave him be. Don't know what we'll do now with the crops failing. Haven't got another trade to speak of. Think Pasca needs a hand around the inn. Okay.
Good day, stranger.
Are there... No other lines. Okay. So... The blight on the crops is definitely... I'm pretty sure that's not related to like the Hollowborn situation. I think that's just happening, but it definitely certainly adds to the, shall we say, the impression of this town as like a rotted place. And a rotted place, like in contrast to, just the name of Gilded Vale, but also like the, metaphorically, the gilded dream that was sold to the caravanners who came here and were promised, land and a fresh start or whatever.
Good day, stranger.
I spoke to Swainer. Trumbull takes a deep breath. And what did he say? I've convinced him to leave your family in peace. What? That's great news. I wasn't sure you'd get through to him. They're out of their minds with drink half the time. I owe you a great debt. Here. He pulls a coin purse from his hip and pushes it towards you. Today's earnings to show my appreciation, and you can be sure I'll let everyone know what you've done. Glad to help. Now we stand a chance of getting through the year. Trumbull smiles broadly. All thanks to you. Safe travels, friend. All right. That's more like it, Lucretia thinks. Lucretia's, I think, happy to do a little negotiating, a little thinking about other people's perspectives if she gets paid in the end.
Hey there.
It hasn't come up in dialogue yet at all, but she is a cipher and should therefore be able to sort of understand
Sure.
people's
Hey.
emotions or something, is my understanding of how that works. Has a bit of like mind reading and stuff going on. So
Sure.
the idea of her working as like a go-between and negotiator, I think, makes a decent amount of sense. So the only thing left is the Temple of Aethys. Let's see.
Hey there.
That's, yep.
Sure.
I haven't been in here for, must be 5, 6 years. Used to be real nice. Bright. Warm.
A man lies resting against the wall, lit by the dim illumination of the fading sconces. He has a gaunt, fox-like aspect, and his face is pale and damp with sweat. One arm is held loosely against his side, sleeve soaked with blood. He gives you an anxious glance as you near, his features twisted with pain. Have a care if you mean to go in. He casts a look towards the doorway to his left. This place is not so empty as I thought. He angles a look up at Adair. Paying your respects, Athosian. He manages a pained grin. A little risky, isn't it? Think of what the townsfolk would say. Adair. Safer down here than up there, even with the rats as big as they are. A faint edge of hostility belies Adair's playful tone. This temple isn't what it used to be. Probably for the best, times being as they are. He groans and shifts position, wincing. I'm no looter, if that's what you're thinking. Not one of his types, either. Wharton jerks his head towards Adair. Just wanted to do some good, I suppose. Got my arm clawed up for it. He regards you warily. Maybe you'd have better luck. What happened to you? I was trying to avoid the spiders. He breathes a quiet laugh. Ran into a scolder. Might have gone a little better for me if the beast hadn't knocked the sword right out of my hand. Good blade, too. Probably still lying there in the dust. He smiles wearily. But I'm not, so that's all right. It's not a bad wound, I think. Just hurts. What are you doing down here? The man points a finger upwards. Those ruins around us used to be a temple of Aethys, the scattered god, a grand temple at that. His worshippers would come from all over the Deerwood, from Raid Saris, even. Not so much from Raid Saris these days, according to Adair. Until the war, of course. Even then, you'd get some of the stubborn ones, the ones that couldn't get it through their heads that their god was dead and gone. Is this really the time for a history lesson? Wharton laughs and winces as it jostles his arm. Just giving you the full story is all. What I want is in deeper inside the temple, where the priests lived. Lord Raedric had them killed, same as the poor bastards on that tree outside. The temple's been sealed up for years since, until just a short time ago. That's where I got involved, and you now, I hope. Wharton pauses to breathe a moment. The priests, if you can find their remains, well, maybe we can finally give them a proper burial. I have some questions first. Who are you, anyway? Wharton offers you a Greek grin. Name's Wharton. I've lived in Gilded Vale long enough to remember how grand it used to be. He shrugs and looks away. I used to help the temple, sometimes. Bring supplies. That's all. Won't Lord Raedric mind us digging around down there? I wouldn't go telling him about it. Lingering in these places, it's no good for anyone. But you do this quick and quiet, and we can do right by those priests without raising a fuss. Any chance there's something down here worth a little more than some old bones? Wharton looks around. Probably. Nobody's been through the place since it was sealed up. Well, apart from me, and I didn't touch anything. Any valuables in there, you get first crack at them. I only ask that you do me this favor for me while you're at it. Well, I take it you aren't supposed to be in here. Well, I meant to be in and out, nice and quick. I'm not hurting anyone, it's just Lord Radric's forbidden anyone having anything to do with the scattered god. It'd be a little harder to explain to him than you. It, it's a good cause, though, isn't it? And you could make some coin in the process. I'll find them. Then by the flame, I owe you a good turn. But listen, the temple's been sealed off for so long it's crawling with creatures. But if you get past them, the priests would have been down on the lower floor. They'll be there still, if they're anywhere. Those priests had all kinds of secret chambers, switches in the walls, trick sconces, that kind of thing. Keep an eye out, and take care down there. I wouldn't want to have to send anyone else after your remains. I'll wait here by the stairs and keep a lookout. Maybe try to patch myself up some. Alright.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So Lucretia's agreed to do a little bit of ruin diving and looting while also helping out some unfortunately handled dead priests. I don't remember if these take physical damage.
So that's how it's gonna go?
Okay.
How may I help?
Hey there. Show 'em how it's done! Sure.
Alright.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'll see what I can find.
Okay.
How may I help? Most in...
And that's how it's done.
Right.
Sure. Easy does it.
Right. Some lovely spiders, some old tables that have been burned.
Isn't this something?
What? Wait, isn't what something? I don't see anything. Ah. Oh. What's that? Aha.
Hey.
Okay.
Sure.
Nice and quiet. How may I help?
Mm-hmm.
How may I help?
Hey there. Sure.
Alright.
Keeping an eye out.
Vermin. Lovely mold left. It is kind of fun, at least it feels like they've kind of succeeded in giving like an almost like archaeological expedition feel to this particular dungeon. It's pretty common for that to be like an attempt that game designers make when they're doing a dungeon, but
There's
it's
something
not
you don't
always
see
super
every day.
successful. Um, so I think these won't stack with the cape, so let's give it to Aloth.
Sure.
Mm.
I'll teach you a lesson.
Aye?
Hey there.
Hey.
Ah!
Hey.
Aspect worth and rough! Yes?
It's not what I was expecting.
Damn!
We gotta take better care of that.
Ah. Okay. This is getting a little embarrassing. Oops. Okay. I am shocked that that worked. Let me see if I can camp here. Can I camp here? Let's do movement. Okay, good. All right. I might pause this one here for the day.
Hey there.
Grab my loot. All right.